to show that you really care. Okay. Okay, so we finished the Mishna, right? Finished the Mishna on Pei Vav Amud Beis. Yeah. So the Mishnah was discussing that a person, there are many scenarios where a woman can make a shavua, right? So the husband, though, can write a shtar when he's in the throes of love to his spouse. He could write a shtar that says that she's never going to make his wife make a shavua, right?
It's necessary for these Mishnahs to delineate all these cases?
You're asking why does it need so many cases?
Yeah, aren't some of these like self-understood or some of them repetitive? I don't know. Between the last couple of Mishnahs, they're like, we need all these cases. It's a lot of Mishnah.
There's a lot of cases, yeah, but the truth be told, in these cases, there's differences. The first one is he writes to her that he will never make her make a shvua. The next one is that he won't make her make a shvua or her descendants. And the third case is he's not going to make, and he's not going to let his kids do it either, which is interesting because how could he say what he's going to make his inheritors do? Right? They say, well, who is he to tell me that I can't make her make a shvua? Unless it goes with where the money comes from, which that's what I'm assuming. I'm assuming it's the guy where the money comes from is the one that has control of the whole situation. But yeah, so I think that's what it is. But those were the cases. Okay, so the Gemara is going to go through what this is. So the Gemara, bottom line, pei vav amud beis. Shvua ma'avidite. What are we talking about the shvua here? Meaning the husband is telling the wife she doesn't have to make a shvuas. So which type of shvua? So Amar Rabbi Yehuda Marav onto the next Amud. Al aputropia shenasis b'chaye bala. It's when she becomes an aputropus during his lifetime. So normally we said before that when the wife becomes the previous Mishna said, when the wife becomes an aputropus, the husband can make her swear on certain things to make sure that all the accounting is straight. So he's allowed to make a shvua. He's allowed to tell her, I'm not making you make these shvuas. That's the first shot. It's where in the case where she makes a pegama or kesuba, meaning she literally means she damages her kesuba. What it means is that normally a kesuba is 200 zuz. Let's say the husband prepays by 100, and she admits that the husband prepays by 100, right? And now she says that she wants the other 100, and the husband says, I gave you the whole kesuba. So she's admitting that she gave part of it. So Mamela, if she wants to collect the rest, she has to make a shvua, right? Again, he tells her, she says, I already got half my payment. Again, half is just an example. He says, no, I gave her the whole thing. So since she admits to half, she has to make a shvua if she wants to collect on the rest. So that's the machlokes, what shvua the husband is saying that the wife is not going to make. So Azar Rav Mordechai, Amr l'shmaitza kamed Rav Ashi. So Rav Mordechai said the shmaitz in front of Rav Ashi. So Bishlam Rav kesuba. So we understand the one that says that the husband is telling her that she doesn't have to make the shvua on the kesuba if she wants to collect the rest. The maska daita, because she's thinking in her head, maybe I'm going to need money. The way I'm going to cash in on my kesuba. Meaning before he divorces her or before he died. And he says to her, and she says to him, I want you to write that you're not going to make a shvua to collect the rest of the kesuba. Meaning she wants to have financial security. So she basically says, I want to be able to collect part of my kesuba, pre-collect part of my kesuba from you, but I don't want to have to make a shvua when I want to collect the rest. So can you please write me something that you're not going to make a shvua? Okay, so in the throes of romance, the guy's going to do that. So that we understand. But according to the mandama that says that he's not making make a shvuah when she's an aputropus, when she gets married, does she know that she's going to become an aputropus? No, I think most women don't think that they're going to become aputropus and when they're married. That she's going to tell him, write a kesuba, write a star that you're not going to make him make a shvuah if I become an aputropus. Why would it dawn on her to do that? Right? So he's saying, so l'chayra, it's a kasha on the one that says that the husband's not making him make a shvuah for the aputropus. So Amrale, so he said back to him, Asan, you learned Rabbi Yehuda as it's going on the first part of the Mishnah. But we learned what Rabbi Yehuda said on a different part of the Mishnah, which was the next case, the last case. If she went, after her husband died, she went straight from the kfura of her husband back to her father's house. Or she went to her in-laws' house, meaning she went back to her husband's house, but she did not become an aputropus to his accounts. Is
that literally?
What, an aputropus?
No, straight from the kever to straight from the burial.
Did she stop by 7-Eleven?
No, I'm saying she. Yeah, I'm saying I don't know. Stop by 7-Eleven, but what does it mean? She right away she wasn't an aputropus. Meaning, are we talking about literally?
Yeah, meaning the point is that she absolved herself from being involved in the finances of his estate. That's the way I understand it. She either went back to her father, so that was it, or she went back to his house, which is called Beis Chamia, because in the beginning they lived by the in-laws, but she didn't become an aputropus. Yeah, so that's why I understand it. She just didn't get involved in the finances, right? So that's essentially what happened here. So now Mamela, there's nothing to make her make a shvuah about. So then Eina Yarshin Mashpiyana. So the Yarshin cannot make her make a shvuah. I'm not exactly sure what they're making her make a shvuah about, but they can't make her make a shvuah because the husband, but if she becomes an aputropus, then Yarshin Mashpiyana I'll also
I think you froze for a little.
I did.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
You did for like 10 seconds.
Yeah. All right, hold on. I'll go back. Thank you. So again, if she went straight from the funeral to her own house, to her father's house, or she didn't become an aputropus, so the Yarshin cannot make her make a shvuah. But the Nasas aputropus, if she becomes an aputropus, then Yarshin Mashpiyana ala asid lava. Then any financial matters that come up in the future, that they're allowed to make her make a shvuah on, because that happened after the husband died, in which case he no longer has control over them, over whether they can make her make shvuahs or not. But they cannot make her make shvuahs on anything that happened in the past, because in the past, the husband had already told her that he's not making her make a shvuah. So sha'avar maya vidite. What are you talking about sha'avar? Meaning, at what point? Where's the line? Where's the line of what she can make a shvuah on? When they could start making her make a shvuah, and when she could not. So I'm gonna read.
Didn't we say when he dies? When he dies?
No. It's on finances that come up. That's when it's going to be. Meaning we said they can they can make her make an oath in the future, but not in the past. Isn't the past when the husband dies? That's the cutoff point. Oh, so we'll go very good. So let's see the teretz. So there's a middle ground. So that's very good. So let's see the teretz. I'm going to review them. Rav. They can make, it's talking about on aputropus that she had done when she became an aputropus when the husband was alive. But if something financial happened between the death and the burial, then mashpin that they're allowed to make her make a shvuah. Meaning the point is that the Yerusha happens the second the guy dies. And therefore, that's when they could start making the shavua, not from the kvura, even before that. Right? So that's now I don't know. You're saying what's the chiddush, right? He should have. I mean, why?
Oh,
Why
I'm
would
saying
you?
when
Why
she's
should
an
they
onen.
go?
So
Why
you're
should they
saying
go
when
with the
she's an
kvura?
onen,
What?
even when she's an onen.
Yes. Yeah. Now
The
I don't know.
minute he
Maybe
dies,
what?
the minute he dies.
Yeah. So you're saying, well, you could really answer. Well, why not? Why would it have to? Why would it go with kvura? Right. So Tosfos says with kvura, he talks about, let's say they needed, they had to borrow money for the kvura, they had to sell things for the kvura, and these type of things. So yes, if she did any of the financial stuff, then they would be able to make her make a shavua that she did legitimate expenditures and stuff like that from the estate. Fine. For Ramasta Amar, Ramasa is a different shot. Even between the death and the burial, we don't make her make shuas. The Amri Nardoi, because Nardoi said la karga for taxes, ula mezaine. I don't know if that's what do you call a tax? What do you call that? Not real estate. What do you call it when somebody dies? Estate tax. Right? La karga, ula mezaine, and food. Ula kvura, and for the burial, mazbanina b'lo yachrazasa, she's allowed to sell the belongings of the Yisaimim without any sort of hachraza. Hachraza means that she had to announce that this is what that she's doing it because she needs to take care of the Yisaimim's estate. So for those few things, she's allowed to sell, and you cannot make her make a shavua because that's the way it is in all situations. When they're desperate to pay the taxes, or for the food for the kids, or for the burial, so then she has the entitlement to do that without having to worry about any sort of backlash and having to make a shvua. Okay, fine. So Omar Rabba Omar Abchia Delay Nadar or Delay Shvua. If he writes to her, he's not going to let her make nadarim. Not meaning she's not, or the shvua, meaning he's not going to get involved with her making the darim or shvuas. Who ain't a yachal ashpia, then he's not allowed to make her make a shvua. Aval yarshin mashpia, like the Mishna said, he only said it about himself. But once he dies, the inheritors can make her make shvuas that she's spending the money correctly. But let's say he uses a terminology of naki nadar, naki shvua. You're going to be clean of a neder, clean of a shvua. Bein hu ubein yarshav ain mashpia. So then not him and not his yarshim, then neither one of them can make a shvua. Because why? Hachi when he said the word naki nadar, naki shvua, his kavana was hachi la menakis mishvuasa. You're clean from a shvua. So therefore, that lashon will say there's no shvua on her at all, regardless of who it's from. Rabbi Yosef Amar Rav Chia, the loy nadar, the loy shvua, who ain't a yachal ashpia, the yarshim mashpia noisa. So that's like Rabbi Amar Rav Chia, right? That if he says the loy nadar, loy shvua, then it only means him and not his kids. Naki neder, naki shvua. But to make her clean of another, clean of shvua, bein hu ubein yarshin mashpia noisa, then him and the yarshin can make her make a shvua. Right, because meaning he disagrees. Before we said that naki from making shvuas, but here it doesn't mean that. So what did he mean by naki shvua, naki neder? Haki kamarla, naki nafshach b'shvuasa. Right, clean yourself by making a shvua. Meaning they're not saying that you're going to be clean from a shvua. If somebody's chaysha that you're misappropriating money, then the way out is to make yourself clean by making a shvua, and then everybody will trust you. Yeah, fine. Shalach Rav Zakkai l'Mar Ukva. Rav Zakkai sent to Mar Ukva, bein the loy shvua, bein the naki shvua. Right? If he wrote the loy shvua, she's going to go without a shvua, or naki shvua, bein the loy nadar, bein the naki nadar. B'nechse hu ein yachal ashpia. He can't make her make a shvua. But the yarshin can. If he says min nechsaya ilin, from these nechasim, from these belongings, bein hu bein yarshav ein mashpia noisa, then not him and not his yashim. Meaning these belongings that we're talking about here, let's say it's a certain field or certain other things, then that, if he says specifically about that, then nobody can make her make a shvuah. Fine. Amar Rav Nachman Amar Shmuel, Shum Abba Shaul ben Ima Miriam. The name of Shmuel, Abba Shaul, the son of Ima Miriam. Right? I don't think the name was Ima, right? Just that was like a Mrs. Miriam. Bain Deloy Shvuah, Bain Denaki Shvuah. Whether he says there's going to be no Shvuah or she's going to be cleaned from Shvuah, Bain Deloy Nother, Bain Denaki Nother, Bain Menichsi, Bain Menichsi Ilin. For whether these belongings, Bain Hu Ubain Yarshav Ein Mashpina. So they're not allowed to make her Shvuah. Abama Esa. But what should I do? Shari Amru Chachamim Habali Para Menichsi Yisayim La Yifra Ela B'Shvuah. Says really, I would say if he said any of these terms, then she doesn't make shvuahs. But what should I do? He says the Chachamim said if somebody wants to come take money from money that's belonging to Yisayim, la yipara ala b'shvuah, they can't take it without a shvuah. So therefore, we're stuck. Right? And then the Gemara says a different version of this. Some say it was actually a brisa. So it's not really the same. It's a different. It's the same version. Just it's a brisa, not a Mishna. Not a Mishna. I'm sorry, not a Mishna. Just Stama Memra. Yeah. Again, Vigadamila Masnisa, Avashol ben Im Miriam Amar, Bain Delay Shua, Bain Denaki Shua, Bain Delay Nether, Bain Naki Nether, Bain Minifse, Bain Minifse Elin, Bain Hu, Bain Yarshav, Ain Mashmin Nasa, Al Ma'esa, Shere Amr Chacham, Bali Param, Minifse Isam, La Yipara, Al Bishua. So I'm not going to Shmuel, halacha to Ben Im Miriam, the halacha is like Ben Im Miriam, that really she should be potter from everything, but we don't make her potter because the din is that somebody who's coming to collect from Yisayim doesn't have a choice and they have to make a shvuah. Right? So it's fine. Next Mishnah. Now the Mishnah goes through a bunch of scenarios where she would have to make a shvuah. So hapagemes ksubasa. Somebody who, again, what we said on the top of the Amud, pagemes ksubasa is again where she says that she got a partial payment of the ksuba. Now she wants the rest. The husband says he gave her the whole thing, so then she has to make a shvuah if she wants to collect it. So pagemes ksuba loisi para ela b'shvuah. She only gets the rest of the money if she makes a shvuah. Right? Eid echad meida shehi perua. If the Eid echad said that she got paid, Lai Sifra, Ella, I lost the place, Lai Sifra, Ella B'Shvuah. Same thing, if an Eid Echad said that she was paid partially, she says she wasn't paid at all. And Eid Echad says that she was, Lai Sifra, Ella B'Shvuah. The Gemara is going to explain all these, the Mishna is going to explain all these cases. Those are three different cases. If she wants to take it from the Yisaimim, the money for her kesuba from the Yisaimim, or from the chasim that are meshubah to somebody else, meaning the guy died without any property, but he had just sold property. So really that property is on a lien to the lady for her kesuba because she came first. That's another case. And if the husband's not here and she wants to collect money from the kesuba and the husband's not here to say whether he had already paid her or not, so then Sifra ela b'shvuah, she does not get paid only if she makes a shvuah. So now the Gemara goes through all these cases. So begemes ksubasa case. What's the case of somebody who has a messed up kesuba? So it's a ksubasa elef zuz. Let's say your kesuba was 1,000 zuz. Allah his kabla ksubasa. And the husband said, I already paid you. I about the elamana. I only got 100. She's admitting she got paid partially. So she only can get paid with a shvuah. That's case number one. Case number two, Eid echad meida she perua. And Eid echad says Eidus that she was paid, meaning she says she wasn't paid. The Eid echad says she was paid. So Ketzar, what's the case? So it's a ksubasa elef zuz. If her ksuba was 1,000 zuz, varma Allah hiskabalt ksubase. And the husband says you already got it. I didn't get anything. And the Eid echad says she did get. So then she also has to make a shvuah. Right? So fine. That's case number two. Case number three. What about from nechasim that are meshubad, machar nechasim la'acherim. Let's say he sold his belongings to other people. V'hi nifras min alakuchas, and she wants to come take it from them. Meaning, she says she knows he right before he died he sold property. Now he has nothing left, so she goes to the guys that bought the property, and says to them, "Hey, I came first. I'm the first lien holder. So loisi para ela b'shvua. She can only get paid if she makes a shvua." Right, and by the way, there's a whole diyun here in these cases, whether we're talking about cases where the husband already said that she doesn't make shvuas, like the previous Mishna, or we're talking about where the husband didn't say that. Fine. Second, the next case, menichsi yisamim ketzad. She wants to take from the yisamim. Meis v'niach nechasel yisamim. He died, and he left all his belongings to the yisamim. V'hi nefras min yisamim, and she's gonna get her money from the yisamim. Like sifara ela b'shvua. She cannot get paid unless she makes a shvua. Last case, the shaloi b'fon of ketzad. If he's not there, what's the case? Halach le'medina sayam. He went on a business trip overseas. V'hi nefras. And shaloi b'fon of it, she's going to get paid her kesuba when he's not in front of her. Meaning, assuming that she has a get and she shows that she was divorced and he's traveling and now she decides she wants a kesuba. So in a phrase, she only gets paid from a shvuah on Tomer Beis. Reb Shimon Omer. So this is going to be very unclear. That's going to be tomorrow's Daf Be'ez Hashem, but of what exactly which case Reb Shimon is going, because there's 5 choices of cases in this Mishna of what Reb Shimon's disagreeing with. Reb Shimon Omer calls machi toivas ksubasa, as long as she's asking for her ksuba, hayarshin mashpia noisa, then the yarshin can make her make a shvuah. Ve'em eina toivas ksubasa, but if she's not asking for her ksuba, eina yarshin mashpia noisa, then the yarshin cannot make her make a shvuah. So we're not exactly sure which case Reb Shimon is going on. Fine. So now the Gemara is going to go through exactly which cases. Why exactly she would be chayiv in the shvuah or not? Is it your standard cases of shvuah, or is there something specific to marriage or the breakup of marriage that requires these shvuahs? So the Gemara starts with Savar Rami Bar Chama L'Meimar. Rami Bar Chama thought to say shvuah daraisa. It's this shvuah that we're making her. Again, we're talking about the first case of pagemis, which is where she says she was paid back 100, and he says he paid everything back. And she's saying that she needs to get paid back the full amount, but she admits that she already got partial. So the question is that ma'id b'miktzas? Like you have a standard case where a guy goes over to a fellow and says, "You owe me 200." And then the fellow says, "I admit I owe you 100, but I don't owe you 200." That's called ma'id b'miktzas on the taina, because he admits to part of it. And anybody who's ma'id b'miktzas has to make a shvuah. So that's the same thing here. She's ma'id b'miktzas. So Marava shtei tshuvas b'davar. There's 2 answers to this, meaning to show that this is not your standard ma'id b'miktzas. Chada. The first one is the kol nishbayin shebetayr nishbayin v'loy mishalmin. Anytime you make a shvuah in the Torah, normally that shvuah is to make you not pay. Right? Meaning if somebody goes over to a fellow and says, "You owe me money," and if for whatever reason the guy has to make a shvuah, so he's making the shvuah in order not to have to pay. Vehi nishpas v'natelis. But here we're talking about the woman collecting her kesuba, so she has to make a shvuah and then she could collect money. You can't say that that's your standard ma'id b'miktzas. Your standard ma'id b'miktzas case is talking about where the person is swearing so that he doesn't have to make a payment. Here, she's swearing in order to accept the payment. So that's one difference between the cases. There's a different din that even in the case of ma'id b'miktzas, but ma'id b'miktzas doesn't work on land. It only works on money. It doesn't work on land. Why? Because it's from Psukim that we learn that. So therefore, those are 2 cases. Those are 2 reasons why this woman is not this woman making the shvuah on her kesuba is different than your standard case of ma'id b'miktzas. So Elo Marava. So then, okay, so why is she making the shvuah? D'Rabbanan, it's a D'Rabbanan. Why? Now this gets into the psychology of somebody who from between the difference in the psychology of lenders and borrowers. Why? The para dayik, somebody who pays back. He's very meduyik and he's very careful to know exactly how much he pays back. and he wants to get a receipt, etc., etc. The mifra, but a lender, loy dayak, is not necessarily so medayik, right? So therefore, we're assuming that she wasn't so careful with this, because she's looked at as the loaner, because the husband owes her money. So we're assuming that the husband is more on top of his game than the wife.
Even though this loan is a kesuba, so maybe she's going to be more careful now. This is her kesuba. It's not a regular loan; it's a kesuba.
Right. So the Gemara, you're correct, but the Gemara is comparing the kesuba to a loan. Right. So Tosfos asks a kasha, which I don't know if this is what you mean to ask, but so then maybe, and if she didn't, we're only saying this because she admitted that she already got a payment of 100, and if she wouldn't have admitted, so then why would we? If she didn't admit it, she doesn't have to make a shavua, right? Meaning, if she says to the husband, "You never gave me back kesuba," the husband said, "I did give you kesuba." That's your standard case. The husband has to prove that he gave the kesuba, right? And she doesn't have to make a shavua because she never admitted to anything. But once she admits 100, now all of a sudden we say she's not medayik, right? So that's what Tosfos is saying, that it's only because of that, right? Once she says that she accepted some money, then maybe she accepted the whole thing, meaning she's not on top of her game to know exactly how much she accepted. Maybe she's just making a mistake. So that's what it's saying. So the torah dayak, right? The one that pays back is more meduyik, which in this case would be the husband, and the mifla dayak, the one who gets payments, is not usually medayik. And the reason why the Rabbanan made her make a shavua is so that she gets her act together and makes sure that she only got paid 100 as opposed to the 1,000 that she's claiming. So then the Gemara asks, let's say when she got paid part of her kesuba, there were actually eidim there, there were witnesses there that she got the 100. Right? Mahu, so then what's the din? Im isa de para be'edim. Right? So if the husband made sure to have edim there, so be'edim have a paralay, then he would have made sure he would have paid the rest of the money with edim too. And therefore, if he didn't, and we don't have he can't produce edim, so must be he never paid him. Meaning, if he was makbid to pay that 100 with witnesses, I guess he knew what type of wife he was dealing with. He was makbid to pay that 100 witnesses, and now she's claiming he didn't pay the rest, and he says, "I did pay the rest." So we say, "Okay, where's your edim? You had an edim for the first 100. Where's your edim for the other 900?" And he can't produce them, so must be he's wrong. Do we say Yisrael? Like, no, when he paid the first 100 witnesses, it happened to be there with two guys standing around. So he said, "Hey guys, come over here and look at that I'm paying the 100." But he didn't do it with kavana. So which way do we go on that? Again, which is the matter if the first 100 was paid with witnesses, do we say that just happened to have been, or do we say that he specifically did it, and if he can't produce witnesses that he paid the rest, then he's going to have to pay the rest? So Tashma, anytime somebody has to make a shavua in the Torah, they make the shavua and they don't have to pay. Except for a bunch of cases. But there are a few cases in the Torah where somebody does swear and they do take it, right? That's the same thing we said a few lines ago. Most times,
the Rabbanan.
The Rabbanan, yes. The Rabbanan. Meaning most cases in the Torah, the person makes a shavua and he doesn't have to pay. But there are a few where they make a shavua and then they could get paid. Which are they? Hasachir. So somebody, a worker, an employee, so he makes a shavua that he never got paid, and he can get paid. Somebody swears that that the guy stole from him, and somebody gets damaged. Or, and we had this 2 days ago, where two people are in a fight over a financial situation, and one guy can't swear because he's chashad on a shavua. Let's say he's a gambler. So since he's a gambler, his shavua is worthless anyway. So then the other party can make the shavua and then collect, right? And a storekeeper with his notebooks, right? Which is a whole complicated case. He writes, I mean, it's not really complicated. It's just the store owner says, not the store owner, a business owner says that he told the storekeeper to give money to his workers, right? So then the store owner finds in his notebook that he did it, but the employees say they never got the money. So now what, right? Again, the guy calls the grocery store or the restaurant, says, "Do me a favor, give my guys food, I'll pay you back." So the store owner writes down in his notebook that he gave them the food, but the guy said, "Hey, we never got the delivery. This is maisim b'chol yom," right? So you order with Uber Eats, and Uber Eats says it was delivered and it was never delivered, or Amazon, or all this, a mamish, a daily shiloh, this comes up, right? So everybody, so it happens to be in these cases with Amazon and all that, it could be everybody's right. It could be was delivered, and it could be a Schwarzer stole it. It doesn't have to be a Schwarzer, lav dafka Schwarzer, a goy, right? Hopefully a goy, right? So the chenveni alpen kosei. So that's.
You gotta watch out for the racist moderator. You gotta watch out.
That's true. But or somebody who literally means he damages his star without edim. Meaning, like, that's also like the sort of a ma'adim miktas where he says, I already paid part of it, or got paid part of it. Shaloi be'edim, and he does it without edim. Shaloi be'edim in. So without edim, yes, be'edim loy. But if it was done with edim, then he doesn't have to, right? So you see from this that once edim were involved, and then the edim weren't involved in the rest of the payment, then he doesn't have to make a shavua and he can collect his money. So you see that if there were edim involved, then the guy has to prove that he paid back with edim. Someone answers, let me buy edim divided to shavua. I don't have to tell you with edim that for sure he needs a shavua. But without edim, maybe it's just like he's returning something that was lost. And he should take it without a shavua. So Kamash Malone, no, that she still has to swear. So Mamela, we don't have a raya about what the status is with Aiden. Fine. So Yibaylahu, they had a shaila. Hapagemas ksubasa pakas shavapruta. I don't have. I know. You remember the guy a couple of years ago? There was a story that somebody owed a lot of money. And he didn't want to pay, so what he did is he went to the bank and he just got pennies and he just like dumped, right? He dumped like 1 million pennies on the guy's driveway, and that's how he paid him back. Right? So it sounds like.
What was the recent story? It was, I think, an ex-wife.
So there you go. Maybe she got it from this Gemara, right? So what happened here? So she says, I got paid part of my kesuba, but pachas mishava pruta. Right? She got tons of payments, and they were all less than a shava pruta. But she has records of it. And Rashi says she has records. She can show you exactly how much she got. So Mao, what's the din? Now the husband says he paid the whole thing, and she says no, he didn't pay the whole thing. Since she was so careful, so kushta it's just he's saying the truth. Or maybe she's so full of baloney. So take her. On that one, we have a take.
She have the receipts, or does she not have the receipts?
She did, but
so
she says right. So she said she.
But how could she be deceiving him? How is there deception involved if she has the receipts?
No, she says she never got the rest. That's exactly the shaila. She said I never got paid the rest. He says, let's say the kesuba is 1,000 zuz. She says, I got 100 with all these partial payments and pennies and all that type of thing. She said, but I never got the rest. And he says, you did get the rest. So since we see that she has documentation for what she's claiming.
Shouldn't he have receipts? That he gave it? Shouldn't he have receipts?
Yes, I don't know.
He's the one giving it.
Receipts, but she has. I don't think she has receipts. She has like
calculations. I'm saying, shouldn't he have proof that he gave it? Shouldn't he have to prove that he gave it?
Yeah, but we don't. We're talking about a case where obviously he doesn't have any papers that he did it. You mean you still want to say so? Where are your papers?
Right.
Is the case if but that's the whole case, the whole day today. If he says something and she says another thing, no one has any proof on anything.
Right. If they had no, but
if they have proof, then we know, then it's very easy.
Yeah. So then I think when Naftali's asking, so why doesn't he have to show a receipt? Hey, you don't have a receipt. So I think
the fact that she has receipts for some doesn't prove anything. Why is that even a havamina of anything?
You're right. In the normal circumstance, he would have to prove. I think he would have to prove that he gave her the kesuba. But here, she's moida that he already paid part of it. So now that messes her up. Because why is he only paying? She's moida that he paid part. So that makes everything much more complicated. Because
and he's saying he paid the whole thing, right?
Correct, but she's only admitting to part.
Isn't
she's
that what's if might mix us?
Yes, we said, but we said it's
cases.
a different case, right? So we said, but this is different because normal mother mixes he's trying not to pay. Here she's trying to get paid, so it's not your standard case of mother mixas, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Listen, this is why Bezdin takes a lot of time. When there's court cases, it's not like I mixed a fleshik spoon and a milky thing. You just got to decide it. Bezdin, these cases are when there's no document, when there's documentation, everything works smooth, right? So here she has the documentation for the little bit that she got, but not the rest. Fine. So now let's say she was pechasas ksuba. Now this is a little different. Pechasas ksuba is where they claim or somebody claims that the ksuba was worth 1,000. And she says the kesuba was not worth 1,000. It was worth the standard amount. She says she never got paid, but she's saying this, that you're saying that the kesuba was this and this amount. It was not, it was less than that. So so she lowers the worth of the kesuba mao. We say that's the same thing as pagemis. She's admitting that the payment does not have to be as big as large as it's supposed as Bezdin thinks. I don't pagemis my deal of a mixus. Or, like he said, Naftali, pagemis is she's admitting that she got part of the payment. Like my deal mixus, but this is not might of a mixus. She's not being might that she got paid at all. She's claiming she never got paid. She's just saying that it's less, that the kesuba is worth less. So is that the same din? So Tashama pecheses tipara shalai b'shvua. Pecheses in the kesuba.
How does this whole pecheses work? Is that yashrus? Meaning you have a kesuba that says one thing, but they had a side agreement that it's worth less?
No, I mean, why isn't the kesuba say it?
I'm saying, why does the kesuba say one thing and they claim that there's a different amount?
I mean, where is the kesuba?
I mean, they're not. They have the kesuba, but the kesuba says 1,000 mana, and they're claiming that it's only really 800 mana.
Right.
So why do we why is that like? Why do we believe anything? Like,
Okay,
what's the point of the star if if everyone doesn't believe it?
Correct. No, they believe it. The husband's saying, I wrote 1,000, I paid her 1,000. She's saying he wrote in the kesuba 1,000, but between me and him, he said it's only 200. Now, why she would say this, I don't know. I guess maybe she's honest, but that's.
And he paid her nothing. She's saying it's 200. He paid her nothing.
Yes, she's saying the kesuba was 200.
She's the one devaluing it.
She's devaluing it.
I owe you $1,000. You come and say, no, it's only 200. Doesn't matter why I did it, but I admit it.
That's the Gemara's shaila. Is that the original case that we're talking about is where the kesuba was 1,000 and she says he paid me back only 100, and the guy says no, I paid you back the whole thing. That's the case where we're saying she has to make a shvuah. This case is different. This case is he's saying the kesuba was 1,000 and I paid you back 1,000. She's saying the kesuba says 1,000, but between me and him in the yichud room or whatever before the chassan, he said, don't worry, it's saying 1,000, but I'm only going to give you 200, and she admits that, and so she admitted to that, and she says to them, the kesuba is only 200, but I never got paid anything. So she's changing the amount of the kesuba, but she is not admitting that she ever got a payment. So it's a little different case. That's exactly what the shaila is. Do we say it like Peretz said it, that the bottom line is she's admitting that it's worth less, or do we say no, she's still denying that she ever got a payment, right? So let's see that again. If she lowered the price of the kesuba, not that she got paid. So we say it's the same thing as paigim. Aiduma pegemes maidia b'miktsas, or is pegemes maida b'miktsas? Ha loika maida b'miktsas. But here, this is not maida b'miktsas. Atashema pecheses tipara shalei b'shvua. Somebody, a woman who makes the kesuba worth less, she gets paid without a kesuba. Ketzad, what's the case? That's a kesubasa. Elef zuz.
Without a shvuah, not a kesuba.
Without a shvuah, I'm sorry. Yes, thank you. So ketzad, so it's a kesubasa. Elef zuz, a kesuba was 1,000 zuz. V'amar lo hiskabalt kesubasech, and he says to her, the husband says to her, you accepted your kesuba of 1,000 zuz. V'hi ameres lo hiskabalti ve'enei elamana. I didn't get any money from you, but the kesuba was only 100. So nefrash shalei b'shvuah, she can get paid without a shvuah. So you see, we say that it is different than when she denies it, because when she admits that she got paid 100, because there she has to make with a shvuah. So what it says, but my gavya, why? How is she collecting? Bahai shtara, it's with this shtar. Hai shtara chasva v'amu, but this shtar is garbage, right? Meaning, she's saying that the kesuba, it says 1,000. She's saying the kesuba is not true. We made up 200 or 100. So that means that the kesuba is worthless. So how are you letting her even accept? Meaning, they want to say mamarasha. If the kesuba is good, then she should get paid 1,000. Right? If the kesuba is no good, then she shouldn't get anything. Right? So how does this work? So Amarava, Breda Rabba, by Meres, Amana Haisali Beni Levena. We had an Amana, means from the word Amen, right? We trusted, we admitted to each other between us that I'm going to be Michael 1,000. Meaning the parents probably said, I'm just making up a case, but the parents said, we're not letting our daughter marry this guy unless he says he's going to give $1,000, 1,000 zuz for the kesuba. And he tells her under the table, he says, don't worry about it. I'm just, she says to the husband, don't worry about it. I'll just take 200 and that's fine. Right? So therefore, that works. And so that's meaning they're saying between us, we had this agreement. Fine, let's go.
This is the first time you see an agreement between a husband and wife in the whole kesubas.
You see
and even there it messes up.
You see where it went, right? But at least they had good intentions, right? Fine. Let's say an Eid Echad says that she got paid. So Saba Rami Bar Chama Lameimar Shvua Daraisa, same Gemara as before. Rami Bar Chama thought that this Shvua Daraisa, because when an Eid, meaning two, normally you can't. If two Eidim came and said it, then the guy would be forced to pay, having nothing to do with the Shvua. It doesn't make a difference what he denies or admits. Two Eidim is two Eidim, but here it's only one Eid. So the Chsiv, La Yakum Eid Echad Be'ish L'chol Avin L'chol Chatas. One Eid cannot testify on anything for any Avera, for any Chatas. L'chol Avin L'chol Chatas Udenekom. That's only for Averas and for Chatas. Aval Kamhu L'Shvua. But for a Shvua, an Eid Echad can require a Shvua. In any situation where two Eidim will be Mechayev somebody to pay, Echad Mechayev Shvua, so one is Mechayev Shvua. So the same thing here. Right, the lady can get her kesuba with an Eid Echad. So Marava, Shtei Tshuvas B'davar, there's two answers to say why this is not your standard case of an Eid Echad b'shvua. Chad the Kolan Shvuah Shabbaton Shmoim V'Lo Misham. Same thing we said before. Anytime that there's a shvuah in the Torah, they're making the shvuah, then they don't have to pay. V'hi nishbas when it tells. But here we're talking about where the woman is swearing and she's taking. V'oid ein nishbain al kfiyas shibud karkos. We don't make shvuas. An Eid Echad cannot make somebody have a shvuah on karka. Right? So it's mamash the same thing as before. So then why taka does a woman have to make a shvuah with Eid Echad? The shvuah is a derabanan kedei lahafes daita shel baal, in order to calm down the mind of the baal. Right? Since there's Eid Echad who says that she was only paid 100, and the husband's going to be going crazy, so he's going to have to make the payment. So therefore, we make her make a shvuah just to calm him down. Fine. So Amar Papa on Tamar Aleph. Now, ipikeahu, if this guy is smart, right? Ma'isila lidei shvuah deraisa, he could actually make his wife have to make a shvuah deraisa. Why? Because yavla ksubasa ba'apichad sada. he should give her the kesuba, the money that she claims she owes him, in front of one aide, right? V'samich sada kama asada basra, and then he'll take the first aide who he paid the first 100 back with, and then the second aide who he paid the 900 back with, and bring them to Bezdin, right? And then they'll combine. And then he is going to, and then he'll have the first money that he gave as a loan, right? Meaning the Eidim come and they say, oh, he paid, we saw him give the kesuba twice, right? And then they say, okay, so why is he paying twice? The second payment was not a payment for the kesuba. The second payment was for a loan. And that's the way he can make her then make a shavua. So Gemara asks, I think this is the pretty obvious question. How you can't, the two aids have to come at the same time. You can't take an aid that came once before and now you have another aid later and start combining them. Right? So Elomer of Shisha Breder of Idi Yavla, this is what he does. Yavla Ksubasa Ba'api Sada Kama Basada Basra. He gives her the second time he pays her, he brings the first witness and he brings another witness, right? And and then those Eidim say that it was a loan. Now I don't know if he's what do you call it, tampering with the witnesses? I'm not sure if that's what's going on over here. But since the witnesses say that it was a loan, so then they're going to be mechayev. So Masur of Ashi Hakati Yichol based ksubas avoid. She could still deny it. She could say it wasn't 2 loans, it was 2 ksubas, meaning she had 2 ksubas, right? Which we're going to see later on as tomorrow's daf. No, the next day's daf, that there's such a thing as having 2 ksubas. So she could say, I had 2 ksubas. He didn't. The second wasn't a loan; it was a ksuba. So that doesn't work. Elam Ravashi, who the Maidalahu, he tells
normal for there to be 2 ksuba. Is it normal for there to be 2 ksuba? 2 ksubas?
No, it's not a not a normal.
Why would
thing.
there be 2 ksubas?
Because of love.
That's crazier than he paid her more. That's crazier than he paid her the ksuba twice and claiming one's a loan. That she has 2 ksubas.
Right. No, I hear that.
They renewed their vows.
Yeah, I guess so. Right.
Maybe she lost it. Maybe you lost it and then they refound it.
Oh, I is that, I don't know. No,
he went from being a smart guy to a stupid
usually
guy.
The second kesuba writes that this is replacing the first kesuba. In the second kesuba,
if she has 2 ksubas, he went from being a smart guy to a stupid guy.
Maybe they have 2 ksubas, like she has the regular one under the chuppah, and then they made a fancy one to hang in the dining room. Right? I don't know. So basically, so Ravashi, who the Maidalu, he lets the witnesses know that this payment that he's making is actually a loan. It's not for the kesuba. Meaning he's pulling shtick. He's making her think that it's a kesuba, but under the table, he tells the witnesses, we're not doing this as a kesuba. We're making her think it's a kesuba, but really it's really a loan. And then the Eidim say, that, hey, this was a loan. And then Rashi says, and the reason why she's not going to be believed is because milsa de shchicha, exactly what you were saying. It's a milsa de shchicha that a woman is going to have 2 ksubas. So since it's a milsa de shchicha, so therefore she doesn't, she's not believed, and then they're going to make it like a loan. I say I can't clearly understand exactly what's going on because it sure sounds like it's some sort of witness tampering here, but I don't know enough about these types of Adam scam things. But either way, we'll stop over here. A good vach and a good yar. Reb Rafe, you're sitting in the sukkah a week early. I mean,
is that Tosefus to
I don't know what it is.
It's Lebedeck in the house. I can't hear anything. The house is
That's
full
the reason. He wasn't there for the mutzar because it was still Shabbos.
Right. By next week when it's Sukkot, it's going to be snowing there. So get it in now before it's snowing.
Yeah, even more people are coming. It's going to be. I'm going to
There you
be
go.
learning in the garage.
Uh,
Well, anyhow, we should try to go ahead for Yom Kippur. Also, we finished the parak, which would be Erev Yom Kippur, would be a little tough to make some l'chaim. So if we do it Monday night.
well, I don't remember last year, did we have Matzah Yom Kippur or we jumped ahead so we wouldn't have on Yom Kippur? I think we jumped ahead, but I don't know.
Erev Yom Kippur is the bigger issue.
Why?
I'll look up what we did.
Why? When are you going to do it?
Well, we did it. I don't know. I'm saying there's plenty of time to do it. You do like 4:00. No?
Okay.
How much eating you doing? I mean, how much eating can we do, Lamas?
I
It's
mean, you know
interesting.
me. You know me. It's not an issue for me this year.
Yeah, that's true. But what do you call it? No, you should still eat a lot, so you don't have to do the first bunch of hours.
100%. I'm going to try to fast, and I won't eat at night.
Yeah, but one of the days where it says that you're supposed to not learn to eat is Erev Yom Kippur. That's Erev Yom Kippur and Purim.
But we're going to buck that trend.
Yeah, I know. Well, you could eat. The Olim can eat while they're learning.
No, there's plenty of time.
Yes. Yeah.
Sure.
All right, a mazel tov to Gershon. That's why he hasn't been on, I'm assuming, because of the bar mitzvah. We'll post it out there.
Good to everyone.